Okay. Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 40. Now, unlike the last few episodes, actually last several, this one I pretty much will cover the last 6 episodes of Battle Fever J. Yep, I have finally finished up Battle Fever J. Yep, a show that I started back in late July. It took me a little over a month, but got it done. Unlike the last one before this one, it took me over a year to finally finish this one. I'll finish up Jack because I took a break from it. This one I did take a break from it, but I came back to it. Now, these episodes, the first episode, 47, is noteworthy for being the final episode of Super Sentai to air, in the 1970s. 48 is the very first episode of Super Sentai to air in the 1980s. Yep. The very first episode is all about basically various athletes who are left-handed, and they all get stronger after basically participating in an arm wrestling contest for people who are left-handed. My sister is left-handed, but not even she is good as these people are, where basically people go to baseball, karate, javelin, shot put, basically anything related to the Olympics. Except they don't have the Olympics at this point. They have it's like peace sports stuff. And here's the thing. Egos wants these various athletes to kill these people representing these various countries. Why do they want them killed? No idea, because they don't give a reason. Just like, oh, these people are good people. Kill them. For no reason. Oh, by the way, this is the monster who of this one is known as the Hand Monster. Yeah, seriously, he's called the Left Hand Monster because basically he represents a left hand. Yes, seriously. See, I am right-handed. And everybody in this episode basically is left-handed. Now, throwing stuff with your left hand is difficult to do, okay? And plus, yeah, so they investigate basically one guy who, these particular athletes are suspiciously really good at their stuff they do, despite being left-handed. Because being left-handed means you may not be good at something. And this guy apparently throws like a really good pitch. And it takes some convincing, but he is convinced he's being tricked by Egos. Yeah, and here's the weird thing, though. Do we see here this monster being created? It felt as if this is one of those episodes where, like, oh, they just happened to stumble upon who the plot is, this one. Now, do we see Commander Header in this episode? Yes, I think he appears briefly for a couple scenes, but that's it. Son appears for a small chunk of the episode. Most focuses on her than Hedra. And, of course, the guy eventually is defeated. Now, 48, mind you, the monster this one is known as the Grand Theft Monster. This guy is noteworthy for stealing stuff, and it's another time basically where 2 episodes in a row, no monster creation. You'll see that in this episode. Nope, we have this kid basically stealing purses off of 2 people who were in France. Yeah, these 2 are 2 people who work with him, I think at his salon, if I'm not mistaken, and they just got paid. They were about to go do some shopping, and then they get robbed by a little boy. France follows them, and it turns out he's actually indebted to, not the mob, but this guy. Basically, steals some money, and I'll give you some food and kerosene. Oh, and they do mention about the kid. They give a little bit of character. He made him sympathetic by basically mentioning his father has disappeared. They have no idea what happened to him. And his mother dies mysteriously. They don't really say exactly what the mother died of. And by the way, this little boy is taking a little sister. Eventually, the boy is reunited with his father in the later half of the episode, where it turns out he was actually taken by Egos. And it turns out the person in charge of this thing is the Grand Theft Monster. And here's the weird thing about this episode. You see him pop up like good half of the episode, and he's got basically like he's got a high jump ability, he's got a big sword. But here's one for you: Solomon and Hedra, the good human, the human villains of this particular one. Yeah, they appear for one scene, the whole episode, and it's basically Grand Theft Monster. Look at the stuff he sold, and that was it. That's all you see of them. We have something basically that probably Suicide Squad were basically rip off a decade later. Bomb bracelets. Yeah, if you fail your job, you get blown up. Mostly it's your wrist get blown up. In Suicide Squad, you get your head blown off. And so the kid goes to visit France, who informs basically what he did, what's going on. And so, pretty much, like, he's actually by far one of the more tougher monsters they've actually faced up against. Yep. And he eventually is defeated. 49, however, is basically where, like, 5 second graders rebel because of this Venus flytrap monster. Now, what the reasoning for these kids basically acting this way is because he's brainwashing them. Because they mention that their education keeps getting shut down for some reason. They suspect a traitor possibly behind it. Never followed up with. Nope, they say just scratch that. Start from scratch. Basically, go after kids. Doesn't harm the kids, mind you. And basically, they're getting brainwashed to basically do whatever they want, be lazy, commit crimes. And one of these kids happens to be Masur. Basically, he gets involved with this just because he just by sheer coincidence just happened to be in this very class. And, well, then pretty much, like, right after that, then we have, like, in episode 49. Well, that was 49. That was, simply put, the last standalone episode. Actually, 49. Well, I thought 47 wasn't. Actually, it's 48 is the final one that aired in the 1970s. While in the case of 49, that was the final one. That was the first one in the 1980s. The 50-52 is the 3-part finale to Battle Fever J. 50 features the final official monster who appears in the series. And that is Ogre Beard Monster. And here's the weird thing about this one. Like, okay, where apparently somehow Commander Heather has got a somehow completely out of nowhere rivalry with the General. Which, I kind of think that this whole plot thread, these two not liking each other, I think this is a retread from Jacques. Yes, where the boss ends up fighting Commander Heather. And at first they don't want him to fight him, but he eventually does. And the reason why he has to fight him is because Masaru gets kidnapped along with his sister, who happens to be one of his subordinates. And he goes out, runs out there, fights Heather. By the way, prior to this, the General had not been seen for 10 episodes. Where the heck was he for 10 episodes? That's the weird thing about this. He doesn't physically appear. I'm like, really? Like, he does briefly appear for episode 47, where that was the first time he appeared since, like, episode, like 30, 38. It's been, like, quite a while. Why the heck is the long absence? Don't really know. Excuse me. And why the heck does Heather really want to kill the General? Because he's got a rivalry with him. Because, well, he says he's basically part of the Joshin style. This is basically some kind of sword style where, like, win by any means necessary. And he basically hates the one sword style. I'm like, okay. So he basically kills his mentor and kills the guy who was like a little brother to him. So that drags him out, and they have a fight. And of course, Batman J does help out. They take out the monster, and of course, Heather himself is killed in the episode. Yep, he's killed. And then the very next episode, in the episode is Seto's Revival Ceremony, he is revived as a monster. Yes, Commander Heather is revived as officially the... Well, technically, in a way, even though this is his monster form per se, it's pretty much the final monster. It's the final, like, monster that they fight in the whole thing. Though, this is another thing they basically remove from Jack. Yeah, turning the main villain into a monster. And this monster form is not as cool as Iron Claw's warrior form. That was cool. I like that one. This, it's just basically him like a slightly different attire, though with the cape. And his face looks like it's just a mask. I'm like, okay. But what he does is so cool. He revives 3 destroyed giant robots. Except that the problem with the episode is, and I think that this is quite obvious, they use freaking stock footage. Yes, seriously. He revives 3 freaking monsters. He revives a monster from episode 6, 8, and freaking, 14. Some of the early monster ones. Now, in the case of 6, that was actually the second robot they fought. Was the first one. I'm surprised they. Oh, yeah, here's the thing. The Earthen Figure robots. Yeah, him destroying, this area. Yeah, that's stock footage from episode 6. Why the heck they reuse this thing, I have no idea. I can tell it's stock footage because it's the same exact thing. He's just destroying stuff for, no reason. Probably because it's a money-saving episode, because they want to save it for the big epic finale of this thing. So, eventually, of course, the monster header himself is destroyed, and then, of course, they call upon the robot version of him, and then eventually he's destroyed. By the way, the robots themselves, they try to fight him. They try various things to fight them, and they don't stay down, and eventually taking out Header himself does destroy these particular robots. And then, of course, Heather's robots taken out, and then okay, so with Heather gone, are they going to create more monsters? No! Because in the final episode of Battle Fever J, the most unusual thing I've ever seen that I've seen at this point in Super Sentai, the Monster Machine, the Monster Capsule, talks! Yes, this damn thing frickin' talks. I'm okay, so for the previous 51 episodes that this thing has physically appeared, this thing has never spoke a word at all. And now the thing frickin' talks. So, what is Egos' final plan? Using Earthquake Machine. I'm okay, interesting. It is a different plan than what basically Shine did in Jack, where he wanted to move the freaking planet. Just use Earthquake Machine. I'm okay. And of course, we have this mysterious woman who turns out to be Sonome, who gives them pictures of the Egos base. And I'm wondering though, okay, here's the weird thing. Prior to this episode, I don't think Battlefield J ever considered actually looking for the base operations for Egos. And I'm okay, why would they look for the damn thing? At least in the case of Jack, at least they tried to. This, by the way, in the case of that, they just found it by complete random. This basically just fell in their laps. And oh yeah, before I continue this episode, one of the most coolest things I have ever seen in Super Sentai at this point, where at first they kill Header, and then he leaves an eyeball in Kenya, which he ends up in the actual base of Battlefield J in their strategy room. Which makes, at this point, the very first main villain of a franchise of the Super Sentai that I could think of that actually did this. This is before he got killed. I thought it was a really cool thing to see. Header in the Battlefield J base. Which I thought was so cool. And then you have also in the next episode, you have this who turns to be somebody where she's attacked and put in the hospital because they basically say, oh yeah, they're going to betray her. She betrayed the organization. They were going to kill her because basically they were going to stick an area that she knows. And it turns out it was nothing more than a lie. And then, of course, here comes the Capsule Machine, and all 5 Battlefield J go inside the machine. And first, on the outside, they try to use Pentaforce to destroy the Monster Capsule Machine, and when they get inside, they find the heart, and the thing is destroyed. Saint Egos is not happy with the fact they destroy his monster capsule, so we actually see, for the first time ever at this point in Super Sentai, I know I've seen this also in the other shows I've watched, we actually have a monster growing giant size. And it's Saint Egos himself. He goes giant size. So they first try to use Pentaforce on him. Does nothing. And then they summon the robot. They try Cross Fever on the robot. Does not work. And then I kind of figured, though, maybe they'll use Electric Sword Bamboo Style. Nope, they won't use that at all. What they do is Electric Sword Rocketeer! Throw the sword into St. Agos' heart, cause him to bleed, and then he explodes. Sotomayor herself is actually killed in the collapsing headquarters. Yeah, not killed by the Rangers. Oh no, she's killed by collapsing building. I'm like, okay. And that's it. Like, as soon as Agos is done, it was like it's a goodbye moment for the whole entire Bad Fever J. And that's it, Bad Fever J. One thing I at least gotta appreciate about Bad Fever J is that it was totally consistent throughout the whole entire thing. Yeah, I'm getting my final thoughts on Bad Fever J. I would probably say the weakest character of this entire run was the original Miss America. This is a character, with the exception of 2 appearances she made, episode 1 and 23, this woman did nothing. Seriously, she doesn't, half the time, most of the time she didn't show up in like the last 5 minutes of the episode. The reason why, because the actress was terrible with her Japanese. Her replacement was a lot better. I like her replacement. Very beautiful woman. She spoke perfect Japanese in the show. They mentioned, though, that she was a trained FBIA trained by, of course, the original Miss America's father, which that was really cool. Damn good replacement. Kosak, who replaced, I thought was kind of weird in universe. It was kind of weird to replace him. But there was a reason why. He just got married and he wanted to have him spend time with his new wife. Which, okay. So, I do kind of agree with Mars' goal. They probably should have had Miss America die and they replaced with a replacement. In the case of Kosak, they should let him be wounded and retire and replace with his friend. Nope, they basically had Kosak die, the original one, which was a good moment. And there were some, like, obviously some odd episodes per se. And unlike with Jack, where they had like 4 or 5 episodes, they basically retread previous plot threads. This one, I think they did it like once or twice throughout the entire 52 episode run, where they actually reused an actual plot thread. I mean, I like the fact that you put supernatural stuff in here, which is what St. Agos is. Basically, it's a magical organization, so why the heck not? My only problems with the thing, basically, when I finished watching it, aside from the fact the Miss America thing, which I think some people maybe would complain about. Okay, okay. Problem number 1. Why was it that it wasn't until the final episode they actually bothered to look for St. Agos headquarters? I mean, they're fighting them the whole show, and they never look for them. Never once. Number 2. When the heck did they make the decision? Oh yeah, let's have the monster machine, let's have the monster capsule, the thing that makes all the monsters in all the previous 51 episodes. Let's have this thing frickin' talk. Okay? Like, why would they wait until the final episode to do this? Yes. Number 3. What the heck did St. Agos even look like? All we saw was a row figure. Even in giant-sized form, we never got a chance to see what he actually looked like. Yeah, that's the weird thing about Agos. I like the fact we had a chance to go to the strategy room for the villains 2 seasons in a row. Really cool. I like that, just like it did in the previous season, where they had, I think it was Queen and Jack. I think it was Queen and Ace. Got a chance to go to, excuse me, Boss Iron Claw's room, which I thought that was really cool. Kind of the same thing with the main worship room of St. Agos. I thought that was really cool. I like that. But also I have 3 negatives, like no bottom touching for the base. The fact that they hid the fact that the monster machine can talk. And number 3, here's another one for you. Why the heck didn't the Rangers bother to save Sodome? I mean, her master, basically her boss didn't give a damn in saving her. Like, you could have the Rangers save her and basically take her into custody. Nope, let's have her die because, well, I'm sure the actress probably wanted to move on to something else. But this character was actually really good. And she is a very lovely woman at the time. I think right now she's pushing 70. I'm sure she probably looks a little different. And it was hinted that basically she used to be a wrestler. And from my research, I done with the actress who plays Sodome, she was in fact a wrestler for about 4 years, held some championships in Japan, and then she retired to become a stunt woman. Which, okay. Yeah. Very lovely woman. I at least got handed to the fact that the cast is a very lovely woman. And the fact we actually have 2 guest stars in this one who actually will appear as regulars in the very next Super Sentai that I'm going to cover, starting with episode 41. Dazaman. Yep. It's going to be, actually, Denzai Man. Yes. That'll be the very next one. Now, that one is only 1 episode shorter than this one. And basically the next 2 that come after that one are both 50 episodes apiece. Yep. And I'm definitely looking forward to basically covering that one. But it's going to wait a bit because I'll be covering it as soon as I finish up One Piece. Yep. So yeah, that's it for Circular Review. Stay tuned for my review for Shaman King. Now, yes, I am working on One Piece right now. I probably will do a video a little bit later. Probably after do Shaman King because, well, there's not many episodes left. I only went through the first 4 of the recently released 13 episodes. And I was going to do another anime right after that, but then I got a notification. I got an article released that apparently Sentai Filmworks is going to be releasing the dub for it next week. So I figured, though, watch the dub then. Yep. So I'll wait until after I get through a good chunk of way through Denzai Man before I start up this particular anime. Right now I'm working on One Piece. And I probably will do a review of it probably a little bit later on, probably about 2 or 3-ish. And then I'll start this one, okay? But next video I'm going to do is Shaman King, okay? Next video. Bye.